I don't want to talk about Ketel Marte trade rumors anymore, but Damon is making me, and it's his fault. So I think if anybody here wants Ketel Marte traded, it's Damon. We're going to talk about it in 30 seconds. Don't you go anywhere. Welcome into another edition of the PHNX Diamondbacks podcast, live from Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. It is I, your mayor of PHNX, occasionally known as Derek Montilla. And today I'm mad, I'm upset, I'm angry, and I am tired of the Ketel Marte trade rumors. Yet here we are discussing them again, and it's all Damon Fairall's fault. He's the one on the ones and twos. He's the one that wants Ketel Marte traded. He can't wait to do another Ketel Marte trade thumbnail and headline. I, meanwhile, over here wanted to talk about Michael Soroka being a wholesome boy that wants to live in Arizona, which we will get to here shortly. But unfortunately, we got to address Ketel Marte trade rumors once again, and I hate it. Of course, this show is brought to you by our friends at Game Time. Make sure to download that Game Time app, create an account, use our code of PHNX. When you sign up, you'll get $20 off your first already low ticket purchase on those last minute ticket deals, and terms do apply. Now, I made the metaphor, I think twice on the last couple of shows, that putting the Ketel trade rumors to bed is like trying to put a small child that's excited for Christmas to bed on Christmas Eve. They don't want to go to bed. They don't want to stay. They don't want to peacefully go away. They don't want to accept that it's that time for them to stop running around in our heads and instead need to go to bed. And again, even when you think they're put to bed, even when you hear Mike Hazen make comments about how this is no different than any year and there's no actual offers that are being, kind of put out there that are good enough for this team to even consider trading Ketel, here we are once again hearing from MLB insider Mark Feinsand. And I think Michael Dixit said it in the chat. He said if the MLB insider is Jeff Passan, we're cooked and Ketel Marte is gone. If it's Heyman, we're okay. Well, in this scenario, you might want to split the difference with Mark Feinsand there. It's not to say that he is not a knowledgeable insider that has broken many stories, but in his article in regards to trade rumors and the best fits for certain free agents that are still available on the market, Feinsand went on to say, All-star second baseman Ketel Marte appears likely to be moved even after Arizona signed Merrill Kelly to a 2-year free agent contract. The Red Sox, Blue Jays, and Mariners are among the teams interested in Marte, who can block trades to 5 teams. The Athletic reported those teams are, as we covered yesterday, the Athletics, the Yankees, the Pirates, the Giants, and the Cardinals. It's also been reported that the Boston Red Sox are the front runners now to acquire Ketel Marte, but not so fast, because according to other reports and other insiders, especially close to the Boston Red Sox, we're hearing, Damon, that the Red Sox are not close to a trade package, that they are not willing, it sounds like, to offer up enough for the Diamondbacks to accept an offer for Ketel Marte. And I think we have several tweets here.
Yeah, I'm going to have it here in just one quick second. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. We have tweets about the Red Sox being further off than reported. Boston has been linked to the Diamondbacks second baseman for a minute now. I mean, other names have come up. The Toronto Blue Jays also have been a team that have been connected to Ketel for a bit, and the Mariners, which is no surprise because the Diamondbacks have an ongoing open trade agreement with the Mariners and Jerry Dipoto. So
it's a special symbiotic relationship.
The Mariners have probably called about Corbin Carroll 1,000 times.
Oh my God.
Jerry probably jokes with Mike after they get off of talking about Ketel. He's like, what are you thinking? And he's like, I'm thinking it's too much, Jerry. And he's like, all right, well, let me kick some things around with the team just to see, and we'll give you a call back. And he's like, all right, well, you have yourself a happy holidays. He's like, hey, Mike, you do too. Hey, any chance Corbin's available? And Mike's like, oh, Jerry, you know the answer to that, and hangs up.
I mean, I know we freaked out about the Corbin Carroll, saying Mike Hazen being like, Corbin Carroll, I mean, I'm getting trade offers for him. But at the same time, it's like, maybe it is just Jerry Dipoto. Maybe it is just the Mariners that were calling. He's being truthful in that he's getting calls on Corbin, but it's a crazy lunatic who's trying to get a hometown hero back home.
Well, my thing with these trade rumors, Damon, is that they drive me nuts. I didn't even want to talk about this.
Oh,
this is why I'm blaming Damon for us even having this as a headline today. He can attest to this. I hate this. I hate this because, no offense to all of these credible reporters who I respect and I admire and I've been a fan of, like many of you for years, have received my information on Major League Baseball from for years. It's just that when I hear all of these Ketel Marte trade rumors, I don't ever hear any actual news. Tell me some news. Tell me you talked to his agent. Tell me you talked to a source. Tell me you talked to someone within the Diamondbacks organization. Say that there is something, fishy. Tell me Ketel Marte is looking for houses in, Toronto. Tell me something. Tell me something that's actual, tangible news to hold on to, because all the tangible things we have to hold on to are quotes from Mike Hazen, who, despite the fact that he has not outwardly said they are not trading Ketel Marte, has basically done everything short of that. And I think it's because Mike, saying that they're not going to trade Ketel or acting like they're not receiving offers on him is only going to make the rumors grow and make things be worse. I feel like he's been very honest and open about it. However, I also don't feel like anything has really changed. I think that maybe the interests in teams have changed. I think that obviously the amount of teams that think that they could kind of poach Ketel Marte and come in here like the Diamondbacks are, a dead animal on the side of the road and pick the corpse here a little bit. Like, that's not the case. And this team is not in a mode where they are desperate to trade Ketel. The teams that have emerged here that Mark Feinsand addressed are teams that have probably the assets in order to get Marte. It's just depending on what they are going to give up. The Diamondbacks have said publicly and probably to all of these teams calling that they have been actively looking for young major league ready pitching in return, not just prospects. So we're not talking about prospects here. We're not talking about prospects, that are major league ready and they're knocking on the door. We are talking about players that have played in Major League Baseball. They might be young players. They might be guys, obviously with years of control left. That's something that the Diamondbacks have to seek out here. We've talked about trades for a guy like Tarek Skubal, maybe Freddie Peralta. None of those are a match for the Diamondbacks because it would make zero sense for them to trade somebody who is under team control for as long as Ketel is to a team that's going to bring them back, a starting pitcher on an expiring contract at the end of the season, right? And again, the Diamondbacks have said they are not actively shopping Ketel Marte. We know about his 5-team trade list, no trade list. So I think we heard the Pirates were one of the teams in that conversation. You're gone. So that just kind of cuts it down to 6 teams based on those original 7.
Mike Hazen was just laughing his ass off at the Pirates being reportedly in on Ketel.
Yes.
He's like, I bet.
I bet. Sure. Do they know? Do they know what I know? Have they seen his contract? Do they know that he actually named them as one of the teams he said I will not be traded to, right? But again, the cost here is entirely too high for most teams. And the cost, as Damon has looked at, is bumming out Red Sox fans. Red Sox fans are like, absolutely not to most of these trade proposals.
I'm looking at it comes from a official Red Sox podcast, Eric, that has 3,000 followers called Play Tessie. They made a graphic that says, there's a handful of guys I'd trade Marcelo Mayer for. Ketel Marte is not one of them. And that's the discussion that's happening around Ketel Marte right now, is that they believe that they're being held at gunpoint for a slightly above average
Yeah.
baseball player
Yeah.
or something. And it's like, no,
Yeah,
you're getting
no.
a top 10 hitter in the league.
This is an MVP candidate.
You're
by
getting
the
a
way.
top 10 hitter in the league, a perennial MVP candidate on one of the best contracts in baseball. And unfortunately, you got to pay up if you want to get superstar level players. So I'm like, if Marcelo Mayer is where you draw the line, then where I'm telling you, lose this number.
Lose this number forever.
I'm good. Lose this number. Like, don't call me back about Ketel then, because you clearly don't even want to. You don't even want to begin to reach the threshold of where like Marcelo Mayer is where I'm starting the conversation, Derek. That's the key piece, and then I'm going throw in Jarren Duran, who you don't want, and throw in a starting pitcher in your minor league system that has potential, and that's the package I want. So it's I just think it's baffling seeing all these fan bases be like, this is somehow like it's out of left field to expect one decent MLB caliber player and then like a prospect for a top 10 hitter in the sport.
It feels like people are trying to turn this into like the Rafael Devers situation, where the rift between the player and the organization is so great
totally
that they're going to have to totally be, this has to end, and Ketel has to leave this organization. And if he doesn't, things are just going to, no, absolutely not. Ketel's teammates adore Ketel. I will say that. I don't know this, they might talk trash behind his back. Some of them might hate him. I don't know. But what I've seen is true love for Ketel Marte from his fellow teammates.
Merrill Kelly's his best friend.
And they bring back his best friend. You expect me to believe that they're going to reunite best friends and then tear them apart? Like one of those best friends necklaces? That's not happening.
Not in this organization. Not when the power of friendship's on the line, Derek.
Oh, man, it makes me sick, Damon. But I think the reason why it makes me sick is because I can't shake this feeling that, again, there is smoke. Your house is on fire. We're sitting here on the patio right now watching black smoke plume out of our attic, and you and I are just drinking beers going, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. And it doesn't feel fine. But what makes me feel fine is all of these reports that also say Ketel Marte isn't being traded. In fact, every time we have something like this come out, I feel like we get more reports that say, per a source, there is nothing moving on this situation, right? And that's kind of where we're at, Damon, is like, again, we have this bevy of tweets. We have all of these tweets, multiple sources, noted sources. Francis Romero, we got our guy Gordo here. Gordo, we got Ari Alexander.
Yeah,
someone Damon very familiar with.
I could break it down here pretty easily, Derek. So Ari Alexander used to cover U of A in Tucson. He's a pretty reputable guy. Covered the Astros, now covers the Red Sox. Says latest on any potential Ketel Marte trade per league source. Red Sox are trying, but I don't think they've had much headway. And then says the sense I've gotten all week from different people essentially boils down to this: the Dbacks have a certain amount they want for Marte. The Red Sox have enough to get to that amount, and they haven't gotten to that amount yet. And then Francis Romero says nothing imminent regarding a possible Ketel Marte trade. So that is more so Derek and I assuming here, connecting some dots from the Ketel side of things, because Francis Romero has a really good relationship, especially with the Latin players that live like in Miami, in and around Miami.
Where we know Ketel is.
Where we know Ketel is right now. So we think that that's more from Ketel's side. And then this is kind of a culmination of tweets that this Boston Sports Gordo put together. And it was basically just saying from Mark Feinsand that the Red Sox are the number one team in on Marte. And then, of course, we have the other report that from Feinsand that he believes Ketel Marte is likely to be traded. But that was not per a league source like our guy Ari Alexander's tweet up here was sourced information, Derek, which is what you were looking for.
That's all I'm looking for. And again, I know that sometimes that these guys don't even want to put per source on information that they are getting, because then that starts to, it starts to be more about who that source is rather than it being about the actual information. But I just don't feel like there has been anything concrete that makes me believe that a trade is in the works. But what do I know? I don't know anything. I am much like you. I agree with Michael Dixon. I can live with likely. I can live with them using qualifiers like that will allow them to back out should this trade not happen and essentially say, well, I didn't say it was going to happen. I said it was likely to happen, right? But
very true. The one thing that I hold on to, Derek, when I look at that tweet collage, though, that is interesting to me and that I think is a little bit of a development is you look at the Ari Alexander tweet or the one where he expands upon it, right, on the top right here, where he says this is the sense that he's gotten all week, that the Dbacks have a certain amount that they want from Marte and that the Red Sox have enough to get to that amount. That tells me that the Dbacks actually have put together a Red Sox package that they have told the Red Sox, if you guys can meet this amount, we would be interested in trading Ketel Marte, which I think is a little different than anything that we've heard before because Ari Alexander is a specifically Red Sox reporter. And if he's hearing that, then I think that that's somewhat interesting. No, like that's more along the lines of like the Dbacks are actually seeking a trade than anything we've really heard before.
I mean, you're not wrong about that, yet I still don't feel like what you just said to me has any, like, again,
it could mean
sources
nothing.
to it, right? And again, it doesn't mean anything.
I mean, he said per source in his tweet.
Yeah.
That was in a thread of that tweet that said per source.
I don't know, man. I'm just like a lot of fans. I think I'm sick of it. I don't want to sit here publicly and have egg on my face if the Diamondbacks trade Ketel, so I'm definitely not suggesting it's not possible. I'm just saying I think it's a huge mistake, and I think that
I think you could easily argue that, and Derek, just to let people know so that we have this out here publicly, Derek is not lying. I did say we should make this the show topic today, and I'm pretty sure Derek wanted to jump the table and strangle me dead.
Yeah.
In the middle of the office, but didn't do so against his better judgment,
right.
Just because, that's a crime.
Thank you for disclosing this information, everyone, because this is now the second day you've talked about how abusive I am when we're not on air, and I don't believe.
Well, this time I think it's actually. Yesterday was a little bit. Yesterday was a little bit maybe made up.
This is only gonna result in this going to be more abusive after the show. Like hurt people, David. That's the way it works.
This is actually real. Like Derek hates me. He hates my guts right now.
I hate his guts. I mean, he tried to joke his way out of it. Like, I'm Damon. I'm precocious and cute. And I was like, get the hell out of my office. I'm so sick of it. Like you guys, I'm sick of it. And I think that my main argument is that we have to sit here and do a show. And there's so many other things I want to talk about. And during the off season, it's not easy. It's not newsworthy things happening every day. I myself don't feel like these reports are even worth bringing up. And the reason why is because you have to give me something new. You can't just keep saying, it's likely, and it's this, and it's this. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the Blue Jays have made it very well known that they're interested in Marte. I feel like other teams have made it well known on their end that they're interested in Ketel. I'm just so goddamn sick of this being out there without actually having anything attached to it. Nobody wants to man up and say, per a source, the Diamondbacks are... I feel like it's time to cut ties with Ketel, like was reported in that other article. I feel like a lot of things are just filled in with creative writing by guys that have been doing this for a long time. I also feel like these guys are very good at their job, so they would not be reporting this crap if it wasn't actually something that they should be reporting. So that's the part that drives me nuts with this whole situation. Yet, again, no news, no information. And for the most part, every time something comes out, we have somebody like Francis Romero who comes in and just is like, well, I don't know what's changed. Even Mike Hazen at times has kind of made that known when he's been interviewed around the winter meetings and such, that nothing has changed and that he still feels like all of this speculation about Ketel being traded is weird, considering that every year he gets these talks. I love Steve Gilbert, but even Steve Gilbert's reports that a lot of people are going on now kind of contradicts the report that he wrote right at the end of the winter meetings, right? At the end of the winter meetings, it was said that if a top frontline starter was added to this team, that the likelihood of Ketel Marte being traded would go down. Now they add a top end frontline starter in Merrill Kelly. You could argue maybe that's it. Maybe Merrill Kelly isn't like a good enough considered starter to be the one that makes the Ketel trade rumors go away. Yet reported right after the Merrill Kelly signing by Steve Gilbert was that the Diamondbacks, this does not change the likelihood of Ketel Marte being traded, and it just shifts the focus on what they're asking for in a package in a return, right? So I don't know. But again, I will say that Ernesto is right, as he always is. Ernesto said overpay or GTFO.
Serious? No, like genuinely.
GTF. Oh,
That's what I'm saying about Red Sox fans being like, not Marcelo Mayer. That's way too much. It's like, what do you think it takes to get a elite player, best player at his position in the sport? I would argue that an overpay is actually what it will cost.
Yeah.
Like that's what happens when you have a guy who has 5 years left on his contract at a reasonable price. So crazy. Overpay or lose this number. Forever. I'm going to keep saying it.
Yeah. Now,
and also, we're probably going to do this again like later on this week.
Days. Yeah. Why not?
And Derek's going to hate me all over again. So, you guys have a lot to look forward to.
It's funny that he said, hate me again, as if the hating of him is going to somehow stop for a period of time between now and when we do that next show. And it's not. It's not, Damon. I hate to tell you that. Just like my hatred and your hatred of the Phillies is endless. They added, in some other free agency updates, as we discussed yesterday, Adolis Garcia to the Phillies. That move kind of baffles me a little bit.
Cheater.
Rangers get added. They get Danny Jansen. So the Rangers finally do something there and adding catcher Danny Jansen. And Haesung Kim returns to the Braves on a 1-year deal. I do not love what the Braves are doing over there. And I don't mean that in a judgmental criticism way. I mean,
that was an awful signing.
The Braves, you think that's an awful signing?
He hit .230 last year, and he's getting paid $20 million, Derek.
I mean, the Braves
that's insane.
Care. They have so much money to spend. That's what I'm saying. Like, people were saying that Merrill Kelly was an overpay. Are you kidding me? 1 year for $20 million?
That's a decent signing. Haesung Kim had one of the worst years of his entire career last year. Mm-hmm. Got cut by the Rays, Derek. Got claimed by the Braves.
Yep.
And then now I saw that he had larger offers elsewhere for more years. And so the Braves probably had to overpay for this 1 year to get him to sign that contract. But $20 million is half of our entire offseason budget for a guy who does he even get you better as a team at all? No. So I don't know. I mean, I've always liked Haesung Kim, but that felt like a massive overpay to me.
I'm going to say this in regards to what the Braves have going on. It is a little bit of a desperation, right? But it's also a team that we wanted to be like so much just a few years ago, and it shows that even though they did things the right way and secured their future, all it took was a few injuries to bring them down and then not really have the money in order for them to like make up for it. Totally. Even a team like the Braves that makes so much money off of that facility over there that they own, right? That's a part of their baseball stadium, right? It's absolutely sick. So I'll say this. The run on closers continues. Closers are off the market.
It's Fairbanks or nothing at this point.
Elite arms are off the market. I'm going to tell you something very funny. There are 2 relievers that are essentially in the top, like, I don't know, 20 of available free agent relievers this year that were age 32 or younger, and it's Pete Fairbanks and Luke Weaver. The pickings are slim when it comes to
one relievers. Of those guys is going to be a Diamondback, isn't it? Like
one of those guys
that feels pretty likely at this point.
Is going to be an Arizona Diamondback. And no, we've talked about Pete Fairbanks quite a bit. We are going to talk about Luke Weaver coming home on the other side of this break. Don't you go anywhere. You're watching the PHNX Diamondback Show. Well, there might be a run on relief pitchers in baseball, but as you know, with Damon and I, there's always a run on red at the roulette tables over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. That's where you will find us. That's where your boys will be enjoying an unprecedented level of entertainment that you just won't find anywhere else in the Valley.
Take me back.
Take me back right now, Damon. Take me on a staycation right now. I still love the idea of at least making your loved ones stay when they come to visit you here in Arizona during the holiday season at Gila River Resorts and Casinos for 2 reasons. 1, they're away from your house and not sleeping on your couch. 2, it gives you a reason to go visit them at Gila River, and you guys can enjoy the over 4,500 live tables or live slots, the table games, and the sports book, which is the best place to catch all of this NFL action this year. So, of course, do not miss out. Go all in with all of the adventure and fun that you can find there at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playathila.com for more details. And you know what? I still don't think it's too bad to be on the naughty list, but Fascinations makes it even better to be on the naughty list. This holiday season, you can get what you really want at Fascinations, regardless of you if you're on the nice side or the naughty side. And they have everything over there at Fascinations to make your nights merry and bright. But let's be honest, walking into an adult shop isn't for everyone. And of course, especially during the holiday seasons, it might not feel as wholesome despite wanting to go out and get your loved one a special gift that helps make those nights merry and bright. So right now, do not miss out on the fact that you can get online pickup. All you have to do is shop online and then pick up in store. It's fast, it's easy, and totally discreet. You can shop online at fascinations.net, or you can visit one of their 12 locations here in Arizona. Use that promo code of PHNX30 at checkout to receive 30% off your order. That's PHNX30 for 30% off your order at fascinations.net. Fascinations, naughty list approved. Kobe says, wait, we got Fascinations ad read now? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We know who's on the naughty list right there. It's Kobe. But another guy who might be on some of the Diamondbacks fans' naughty list might be one Luke Weaver, who still brings back kind of sad memories of a Paul Goldschmidt trade. Honestly, almost poetic now that we sit here considering a Ketel Marte trade. The Goldschmidt trade was one of those trades in franchise history that devastated this fan base. And it made far more sense to trade Paul Goldschmidt than it does to trade Ketel Marte. Right? I mean, am I wrong about that, Damon?
No. He was on an expiring deal, and he wasn't playing. It didn't seem like he was likely to re-sign, right? Like he wanted to go and go like expand elsewhere. Whereas Ketel Marte, by all accounts, it was a rough season a little bit, but this dude loves Arizona. Like he loves this organization.
He does.
His teammates.
He does. And he's done everything he can to stay here for a long period of time. He has the ability to test free agency. He had the ability to at least dip his toes in the water and see what other teams would be offering him at certain points in his career. You cannot argue that Ketel Marte right now probably wouldn't be receiving an offer in the $250 million range. $250 million range. And yet here he is playing for Arizona, right? So there's a lot of differences there. But Luke Weaver has become a different pitcher in his time, and Arizona still needs more reliability at the back of the bullpen. We've seen Weaver in the playoffs specifically be inconsistent, but also be phenomenal at times and also not very good. His recent bullpen work does show better strikeout rates. It shows better control, shows better command, and an ability to limit damage in baseball games, something that the Diamondbacks desperately need when it comes to having an elite reliever. But again, the Yankees are still very interested in bringing Luke Weaver back. That's going to make it a hard sell to imagine the Diamondbacks being able to somehow outbid the Yankees for Luke Weaver. But let's take a look at his stats here from 2025. As you can see, even on a season where he struggled at times and was inconsistent, he still posted in 64 2/3 relief innings, a 3.62 ERA, a 1.021 WHIP, and a 3.60 strikeout rate per walk rate. The BWAR here is 0.8.
He also had a decent FIP, Derek. I think it was like 3.89 or something like that. So his fielding independent pitching was very similar to his ERA.
More importantly, his baseball reference page shows a lot of good stuff, right? Or not baseball reference, I'm sorry. Baseball Savant page shows a lot of red for Luke Weaver. And it shows that he did have, at least some better expected stats than what the numbers showed, right? When you look at his Baseball Savant page, he had an expected ERA of 2.98, and he had an expected opposing batting average of 195 versus the actual results here. His ERA last year, 3.62, his as we showed you there, 1.02. His strikeouts down a little bit. His walk percentage still pretty good. But again, he does not get a lot of ground balls. His ground ball percentage is in the 1 percentile here. But again, a lot of red on there. A lot of red when it comes to pitching run value, to his off-speed run value, and he gets a lot of chase and whiff. So again, there's just a lot of good about Luke Weaver. It's weird when a guy kind of gets stigmatized as having a bad season, and then you go back and look at the numbers like this, and you're kind of questioning how is this a bad season?
I mean, this would be our best reliever we've had in
This would be
a
our
decade.
best goddamn pitcher on this team, Damon. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean,
No
Yankees
disrespect to Corbin Burns and Ryan Nelson, but I would probably start Luke Weaver with this kind of baseball savant page again.
Yeah, I mean, the Yankees fans obviously like that. It goes to show that like the threshold for what is considered, acceptable there is a lot different than in Arizona. In Arizona, we would chomp at the bit at this.
Yeah.
Plus, like having maybe him having some bad moments where he chokes and it doesn't look great, but like overall, the body of work is great. It's fantastic.
The body of work is great.
And the Yankees fans, all they remember are those big moments, and they're like, get this bum off my team.
Right. And his underlying metrics from the prior season suggest that he wasn't just lucky either, right? So it's like the phenomenal 2024 season is kind of a disappointment with his ERA and certain numbers going up. But again, when we show you those expected stats and what his baseball savant numbers look like from 2025, it just feels like you want to bring him home. He offers a lot of flexibility to Torey Lovullo. He could be a multi-inning bridge when the starter has to exit early. He matches up well against right-handed hitters. He's a high leverage setup arm. He's just a guy that could change this team. However, it's still not a closer. And I think that's the problem. Bringing him home to Arizona, it just kind of feels good. Even though his earlier tenure was not perfect, he's a different pitcher now. And the organization kind of has firsthand knowledge of his makeup and work habits and who he is as a person. We've seen him just improve and mature as a major leaguer and get better in a very tough environment in New York. Let's not forget that, like Damon said, those fans are fickle. They're so fickle, and they don't really accept people, having a down season and whatnot, right? So, his recent bullpen success is encouraging, but there's always risk. His career has had plenty of ups and downs. That's how he ended up in the bullpen instead of being a starter. But again, if the market value rises for one Pete Fairbanks, perhaps that would allow someone like Luke Weaver to be affordable to the Diamondbacks. My only concern here is that he is more of that, bridge, that setup man, that multi-inning reliever that you're looking for to keep you close in a game. But he is not the closer that I think would bring that sense of balance and give guys an idea of what their role is that you would bringing in any closer. And again, when you look at the available options, things aren't great, right? So we've heard that teams have been aggressively pursuing Pete Fairbanks. We know that the Diamondbacks are in talks with Fairbanks. So the hope is that when they say, especially one team is being especially aggressive here in the pursuit of Fairbanks, that it could be the Diamondbacks, and we hope that it is. However, I still think that Luke Weaver and his delightful, precocious nature, much like Damon's, would come here to handle high leverage, would be one of our best relievers, if not the best reliever in the pen, until Justin Martinez and AJ Puck come back. He's just a guy that has the ability to go long. He has the up-down thing, right, where not a lot of relievers can go back to the dugout, sit down, come back out for another inning. That's something that Weaver is definitely good with doing here. But overall, I still think that the Yankees are going to probably pursue him too much, and it's going to make it hard for the Diamondbacks to be in on that. I don't think the Diamondbacks, it's no secret. They can't afford to overpay for a guy, but they specifically can't afford to overpay for a reliever that you wouldn't necessarily consider to be elite. We have said that Pete Fairbanks is elite, though. And our guy, Jack Summers, made a comparison on Twitter in regards to these two players. And when you take a look at those baseball savant pages, there is a lot to like about Luke Weaver's side of things. And again, it's not to say Pete Fairbanks doesn't have his fair share of red on his page, but you could see where perhaps, it's not a thing where Fairbanks is head and shoulders a better option above Luke Weaver. I also love nostalgia, that. So bringing back Luke Weaver just makes me happy. And I don't know. I don't know. But again, it's really about the Diamondbacks having to contend with overspending, which they are going to contend with more. And they're going to need to continue to find diamonds in the rough here with, free agents and other pickups. They may have found one in Michael Soroka. And we had the pleasure of speaking to him today prior to today's show. My apologies to Katie, not Katie. I think it was Emily who was wondering why we started late. It is because we got a chance to talk to Mike and had to delay things a little bit. So we appreciate your patience with that. And again, we're going to have more from that press conference with Michael Soroka on the other side of this break. Don't you go anywhere. You're watching the PHNX Diamondback Show. Of course, you know that it is never ordinary over at Bet365. Bet365 still has all sorts of wonderful football promotions going on right now. Not to mention, you're still a winner on NFL games and college football bowl games when your team goes up by 17 points with the early payout offer, which they also have on NBA and NHL. So don't miss out right now. If your team goes up by 17 points in a football game, you're a winner over at Bet365. Your straight bet will be marked as a winner, and your parlay will also be marked as a winner. So do not miss out on this and all of the wonderful promotions that they still have throughout the football season. It's not over yet, so there's still plenty of time to get down on the action, get in on their Thursday night football offer, which has a $10 safety net bet, as well as their Sunday night football offer, where you can get in and get a part of that $365,000 bonus bet jackpot. So right now, check out Bet365. If you're a new customer, you can get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. All you got to do is sign up, use that code of PHNX365, deposit $10 and place a bet for $5 to receive $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, players, props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it is never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or over and physically located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. Text NEXT STEP to 53342 or visit problemgambling.az.gov.
I love Bet365, Derek. I just have to say it. I got to take my opportunities when I can.
For sure.
What the best app, early payouts, super boosts, just stuff that no other app is doing these days. And shout out our good friends at Bet365.
Yeah, I got myself a little bonus bet action this weekend to get back in on the action. So appreciate them for that, as always. Also, I appreciate Desert Financial Credit Union, because if you're an Arizona sports fan like I am, there is no better place to do your banking than Desert Financial. They have branded debit cards where you can show off your team spirit every time you make a purchase, including some of your favorite teams like the Arizona Cardinals, Arizona State University, and Northern Arizona University. For more than 84 years, Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union, dedicated to creating exceptional experiences by giving back to the community and providing financial solutions that help make lives better. And it's the trusted part of banking with Desert Financial that makes you know that they have your best interest in mind and can help you reach whatever financial goal you're trying to reach. You can look to them for checking and savings accounts, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and so much more. Plus, right now, with the holidays here, I know it can be hectic, and I know a lot of us can be tapped out financially. So don't forget that when you open a free checking account online, you can get $200 in bonuses over at Desert Financial. Get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200 today. Well, it's great to see so many of you in the chat. We have a little surprise for you guys. For those of you that entered our Die Hard holiday giveaway, we are going to pick a winner on this very show at the end of the show. But you're going to have to wait. You're going to have to stick around and watch Michael Soroka answer questions about loving Arizona, and we will get to that before the end of the show. But first, I wanted to say, Deborah, where have you been? We've missed you so much. One of our resident,
worried
greeters.
sick.
We were worried sick about you. We're worried sick. So glad to see you in the chat. Glad to see the one, the only Erica Day in the chat. I don't even know what she's doing here. She might have gotten lost, but I'm thrilled to see her here hanging out with us.
No, Erica loves her snakes.
She does, and she knows that Ketel Marte isn't going anywhere. At least she knows that he shouldn't be traded anywhere. But since she also knows ball, she knows that Michael Soroka is a very interesting addition here by the Arizona Diamondbacks. Mike is a pitcher that at one time was considered one of the best young arms in all of baseball. Like on the same level of some of these other arms that have really broken out this year. Maybe not the pedigree, maybe not the expected like performance of one Paul Skeens or, you know, even a Jacob Mizorowski, but you could say that there is definitely an exciting start to his career. Unfortunately, injuries really hindered everything that he was doing, and he experienced almost every injury you could imagine with his pitching motion over the last few years. So it's been an unfortunate struggle for Mike to stay healthy and stay on the field. However, today he discussed that and so much more in his press conference, and specifically focusing on staying on the field. But I know a lot of people are curious. and hear from Michael himself is why he chose to come to the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Every offseason with as far as free agency, and we kind of identify the teams that may be interested in me, and then also the teams that I'd be interested in, no matter their situation. So the Dbacks for me were one that fit both of those. It was pretty obvious early on that they had some needs as far as starting pitching went, and I've called Arizona and Phoenix home for the last I guess year and a half now. So it's kind of a dream scenario. Everybody kind of wants to be able to live in their house all year and be able to compete for this organization. I think over the last couple of years they've given me some tough times. They've had a really good team put together and a really tough team to play against. So for me, that's one more lineup that I don't have to worry about. So there was lots of things that fell into place, and they made their interest clear early on, and we saw no use in waiting any longer. And I think it's a great opportunity for myself and to be able to help this team take a step forward.
You hear that? Arizona, once again, a competitive advantage. Let's go, baby. Came back here because he's lived here, wants to live here. Let's get every player that lives in Arizona to just be a part of this organization. I bet we could put together an all-star roster. It would be amazing. But also, shout out to Megaran. As Michael Dixon says, it's not Monday, but we never miss an opportunity to play our Grammy-nominated Friends music on this show.
Yeah, sorry, we just had to make our Megaran appearance real quick.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah, we wanted Mike, who's a big music fan. He was asked by our guy Jack Summers about his music tastes and described. My favorite part about that, described that his love for playing guitar started with Guitar Hero. And I felt great until he said, when I was a kid. And then that made me feel 150 years old. But again, Michael Soroka has been around here in Arizona for a while. He is not just here because he recently moved here. Apparently, according to his answer here, he has been coming to Arizona for a long time, since he was a kid, and just kind of always had a connection to the Valley. Here's what he had to say in regards to that.
I grew up coming down here quite a bit when I was a kid, actually. So I'm from Calgary, Alberta, which is basically straight north of here. So actually going there tonight for Christmas here for a couple of weeks. But we came down a lot in October and March for spring and fall ball, and we got our asses kicked quite a few times, and got a little dose of reality and what was all out there in baseball. But I knew the area pretty well, and obviously you get a 50-50 chance of being here for an extra 6 weeks in spring, and the outside chance that you get to be here all year is obviously a cool one also. But for me personally, I've always liked it out here. I like to be able to see when I'm driving. I like to be able to see for a long ways. That's the way Calgary is. It's you got the mountains to the west, but other than that, it's all prairie and land, and feels a little more like home, I guess. Just quite a bit warmer at this point of the year for sure, or I guess at all points of the year. But it's again, it's been easy to settle into, and it's a place I love, and obviously no shortage of other guys to throw with here and hang out with as well.
I'm glad he understands the weather situation here, right? Like, that's a man that's prepared to pitch in Arizona and understands what July is going to be like around here. I don't want any surprises for these guys that only show up for the open and spring training in March, right? I mean, he has lived here for a year and a half, so he had to see those electricity bills, I'm sure, at some point. But it's a great thing to have somebody that, much like Corbin Burnes, feels like they wanted to be here. I have had my opinions over the years over Jordan Montgomery, and some things I actually really liked about him. But one thing I didn't like was when Jordan Montgomery was acquired by the Diamondbacks, in his opening press conference, it felt like he couldn't muster up the energy to sound like he wanted to be here. He very much didn't sound like he wanted to be here. I don't think you ever want that out of a guy that's signing here. You could say that, sometimes there's some intrepidation. Sometimes they're not going to be overtly enthusiastic. But to bring in a guy like Corbin Burnes, who chose to be here and wants to be here, and even gave the Diamondbacks a bit of a discount on getting him, it feels good, and it feels like it's the right choice as far as talent acquisition. Mike, talked quite a bit about Arizona and spoke about just his love for not only this state, but his appreciation for how good this team is and how much he doesn't actually want to pitch against them. And he even went on to talk about 2023. But of course, the big concern with Soroka is his health. And, he's gone through so much over the years. You look back at those numbers from when he was a rookie breaking out into the league in his first seasons and how excellent his numbers are to now. And again, things have changed. He has changed. His body has changed. So here he is talking about being a different pitcher than he was during that breakout period of time in his career.
I think as far as stuff goes and physically, quite different. I think different in a very good way, to be honest with you. I think it's pretty indisputable. I think that a lot, as far as just stuff on paper, has taken a lot of steps forward since then. There were some things I did last year that honestly I did a lot better than, when I was an all-star in 2019. I think, it's difficult when you remodel an entire delivery was basically what I did. Trying to stay on the field and be out there and be able to compete is a difficult thing to do in this game. And I realized that's what I needed to do if I wanted to extend a career. And, there was definitely a couple of years where it was just really difficult to find everything and kind of find a rhythm, if you will. And I think last year we fell into it at times to where it was like, wow, this is what I felt like mentally and competitively when everything was clicking. And I think a lot of that comes down to command. I think, people will look and say, okay, it was the sinker in 2019. That's what it was. And while, yes, it was a bit of an outlier pitch because the way I threw, I think if you really dove into the numbers, you'd see that really a lot of the reasons I had success was how the off speed performed and how the off speed was commanded. I could kind of throw anything at any time and started to take that to heart a little bit at the end of last year again. And, I think I had a really good opportunity with the Cubs to learn about my delivery and what makes me click now. And that's where we were able to kind of hone in on a couple of those things and add a couple pitches as well. So, I got a chance to work on those as soon as the season was over, and I'm really excited about where those sit moving forward. And obviously the Diamondbacks see that as well, and I'm very thankful.
Now, again, that there was several things that he spoke about in regards to like what he's learned. He definitely credited the Cubs several times for his pitching development, Damon. Something we've talked about this team being so bad at, right? This is a guy that went through injuries and was incredible at one point and just kind of had ran the entire gamut in a few years of a baseball career. Went from being like a rookie of the year, all-star candidate to being, to questioning if he would ever pitch again in a very short amount of time. So again, the fact that he credits the Cubs with what they did to not only help him learn about his body mechanics and his own health, but also help him learn how to be effective considering the changes to his arm over the years after those injuries. And more importantly, not his arm, but his Achilles and his delivery, because he's suffered multiple Achilles injuries and just had problems staying on the field. And he was asked about that, about his health and if his health is a concern. And he answered it in the most, I think, honest way that you could. He didn't want to give all the details out here, but he just does take a lot of, he shows a lot, an understanding as to why teams would find him to be a risk considering that history of injury.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, again, it's obviously something that I talk about. It's not something that I've been asked about a ton. So it's no problem. It's reality, right? Like it's what it is, and I understand that that's, it's ultimately separating, being able to do it on a daily basis. And there were some things as far as internal health that I think we'd kind of figured out that I'd rather not completely dive into, but we'd had some things that I'd been dealing with for a long time that I didn't really understand and didn't really know about till this past year. And we'd figured that out. And I think that's going to be one really big key, is just being able to actually recover and not deal with a ton of inflammation at all times. And, ultimately that's kind of where injuries have added up for me, is just chronic inflammation and the ability to clear that. And I think what I was dealing with had a really big part in that. And, obviously working on delivery, you change things, you work on, new ways to do things efficiently. And I think that all kind of started to come into place. And this was kind of the last key. So, moving forward, it's something that I really feel confident in, and stuff that I'm able to, just bounce back from. But also get help from, my training staff here has actually always been in Chandler, Arizona, actually. So I get to work with them a little more closely. And the pitching group that I work with at Rotational Athlete Solutions up in Scottsdale here is Casey Upperman. They've done really well with showing me some things with shoulder health and, how to really bulletproof that. And I think we've talked endlessly about injuries in baseball in general, why it's happening and why guys are throwing harder. And, the answer isn't necessarily to throw less hard. It's to be able to give yourself the best chance to be out there and bulletproof it. So I think we've done a good job at addressing those things, and, it's a process. And I think that's ultimately the number one goal, is to just be out there all year. So be out there all year and throw a lot of innings. And I think we'll be in a good place.
Let's freaking do it, Bubba. I'm excited for that. And see, like, guys like Michael, I feel like get you excited about them as a person. Like, I didn't know much about Soroka. I have not had a robust history with him, but after listening to him for the period of time we had the chance to speak to him, I definitely am feeling, very excited about him being added to this team. I'm also very excited, of course, by all of you guys here. So many of you here. Great to see you here. Make sure you hit the like button if you're here. Help us out. It's a little thumbs up. I mean, you can go thumbs down. I'm an understanding individual, but I would much prefer a thumbs up while you're here. And also, make sure to subscribe to the PHNX channel if you haven't done so already. It's a great time to do so. It's also a great time to go over and sign up for our PHNX newsletter. It's completely free. You'll get the biggest news in Arizona sports in your inbox daily at 6 a.m. He's very diligent about that. It's our guy, Alex D'Agostino. He was on the call here talking to Michael as well. And you can be the smartest sports fan you know. He's running in now, and he'll make sure to get you good information. This poor man has to cover that Arizona Cardinals team. It's a struggle. But head on over to gophnx.com/newsletter. Support Alex and all of his wonderful writings, and maybe it'll make him feel better about having to write 4 articles a week about those Cardinals. But again, very excited for Michael Soroka again to be here. There's been some talk of the additions that he made to his arsenal last year. The biggest one being this slurve pitch that has gotten very good. He also added a cutter and a gyro slider. Let's first hear from Michael about that slurve and what makes it so effective for him.
Yeah, so to be honest with you, it was honestly a pitch that I've had my whole life. It hasn't really changed. I haven't really messed with the grip. It's just kind of how consistently I'm able to get to the front of the baseball. And I think the new delivery allowed me to do that. I'm staying looser, moving a little quicker, and really able to kind of turn that wrist over. And that's what kind of led to the added movement. And, really started to click on that at the end of 24 and realized that's when I got a lot of the swing and miss, regardless of whether the velocity was 79 or 83. As long as I got to the front and spun it properly, it was pretty good. I think, I got to watch Charlie Morton a good bit, and, we kind of had the same sort of thoughts with that breaking ball. Obviously, at times his is a little bit bigger, and, you take things from different people. But as far as the consistency to be able to get to that right spot really is what kind of took off for me this past year. So I think at times earlier in my career, I didn't quite understand it, and I overthrew it a little bit sometimes and threw through it, and the velocity creeped up, and it turned into more of, a traditional slider, which wasn't necessarily a problem. It's just now knowing how to separate the two is going to be really useful. And I think if you watch a lot of really good starting pitchers around the league, with the exception of a couple, they have the ability to manipulate a breaking ball 2 or 3 different ways. And that's going to be obviously what I'm going to be doing this coming year, I think. So, I think it's a pitch for me that I have a ton of confidence in. I don't mind going to it at any point, whether it's for chase, swing and miss, or in zone. Doesn't really matter for me. So to have a pitch to lean on like that is really special. And that's something that, again, it's going to be probably used a little bit less, hopefully, with the addition of the other couple pitches. And that way, when we're able to use it in counts and situations that really matter, you can go for the kill shot and get it. So, yeah, that's a pitch for me, obviously, that I've leaned on a ton and will continue to do so.
We talked earlier about the Atlanta Braves, and even though Damon hates the Kim signing a lot, and he's probably not wrong too, I will say that the Braves are an organization that you feel like you trust having someone come up and develop. Once again, pitching development. That's what this is all about, develop in their system. When you hear him learning from a guy like Charlie Morton, who has figured out how to be so effective for so long in his career, these are the people that you want pitchers learning from, and the experience that they're sharing and information that they're sharing to make them better. But I also like at this point in his career that he's working on his arsenal and working on adding these pitches. I mean, it's again, there at times there's a lot of information out there about you as a pitcher, but also this is a guy that has kind of had to change how he pitches and what's effective for him over the years. And again, he talked about that slurve, but he also added a cutter and a gyro slider to his arsenal at the end of last year. These are things that Mike Hazen brought up that he very much liked in going after Soroka. And this is what Mike had to say, not Hazen, Soroka, about adding those pitches.
So 3 actually. And I mean, we're going to play with them continually, and I think I've talked to Brian Kaplan already, who I actually already knew when he was down at Eric Cressy's facility in Florida. I was there in 18, 19, and 20, and we developed a really good relationship there and kept up with each other. And obviously, getting a chance to work with him again is going to be great. So we've kind of already started that process on talking about usage and what that's going to look like. But the first one was a cutter. It's going to be traditional cutter, like a fastball cut. I'd already at times tended to cut the ball a little bit, just naturally being a little bit supinated through release. And that's something that we played around with actually in this past offseason going into this year, and tabled it a little bit because, I wasn't sure how it affected the fastball. But now having a full year to kind of get the understanding of what it's going to do to everything, it actually at times when I was able to throw it, I found my sinker going the other way. So that's going to be a lot of fun to use that one. I think that one's going to be probably the most used out of the 3. And again, the Cubs and Tyler Zombro was able to kind of show me some things with just the way that I was able to stay supinated with certain pitches and throw the cutter as well as a sweeper. So essentially it's throw it the same way as my slurve or curveball, if you will, just with a different grip, and it kind of stays on that straight horizontal axis. And again, it's going to be useful for just giving guys a different look. I think I don't have an idea in my head on how much it's going to get used at this point. But it's definitely a very usable pitch as far as what I've thrown in bullpens and to, phantom hitters. I threw one actually in a rehab outing in AAA at the end of the year, but coming back in the bullpen, there was no time to mess around with, learning certain things. It was kind of just attack with the best too. So, yeah, having time this past off season to really kind of focus on those has been really, really useful. And then the last one's a traditional just gyro slider, if you will, which again is kind of basically the curveball grip thrown like a fastball. So that was the key with all 3 of these, is that I really didn't need to do too much. I didn't need to manipulate anything. I was already kind of set up right to throw it. And Tyler was able to show me exactly how all that worked. And yeah, so some pitchers to kind of model after that are able to throw, 5, 6, 7 different pitches, and how you're able to give guys different looks and ultimately get deep in ball games, because that's, out of everything last year, that was the thing that gave me, the most frustrations, was not necessarily getting hit late. There really wasn't that much actual damage late. It was more or less all of a sudden counts got deeper. Strikeouts were a little bit harder to come by because I was trying to go to the same couple pitches over and over and over again. So ultimately that's going to be the thought behind adding those. And I'm pretty confident with where all those sit that they're going to be extremely usable in the big leagues. So they're not really too much of a work in progress anymore, if you will.
Groundhog Mama asking the important questions after she called him a cutie. Behave yourself. We told you this. Is it Mike or Michael? I don't know the man personally, so I feel like I should still it's the Spanish thing of using ustedes. I'm still trying to use his proper name, but I do believe it's Mike Soroka, and that is what it will be going by as for the time being. And I don't know if his name had anything to do with Mike Hazen's interest in it, but he probably recognizes a real one, a fellow Michael that knows that Mike is the superior form to go by, right? But he has been interested in Soroka for a while, and that's something that has helped make Soroka kind of feel loved here in Arizona. Before we get out of here, we're going to give you one more from Mike Soroka. Here he is talking about the Diamondbacks pursuing him and being interested in him for the amount of time that they have done so.
I'm not sure I was. I think there's different things, and things go different ways, and obviously, I was traded to the White Sox in at the beginning of 24, at the end of 23 rather, and it's awesome to know that there's people out there that see something. I think that's the thing with trades is you get a bit of a change of scenery, and obviously this will be team I guess 4 in the last couple of years now. So I've learned a lot from all these different places, and I'm very thankful for those. And it's time to apply a lot of that and again prove the Diamondbacks right. I think anybody can say that, like we said, they're taking a bit of a gamble on the injury stuff, and I understand that, and I want nothing more than to prove them right. So it makes me feel good, and again, it's an organization that I've looked at over the last 2, 3, 4 years as a really up and coming one. I think they gave me some of the toughest games over the last couple of years, especially in 23. I said I guess it was May, I pitched against them in May, and I wasn't the same pitcher. I didn't have the same stuff or, command at that point, but I still said it was the toughest game I had all year. So again, it's an organization that I was happy to join, and really glad that they identified me as someone that they wanted to bring in.
I'm pumped about that. I love him saying that I want to prove them right, Damon. And that's what we need. We need someone that came in here, was given an opportunity, appreciates the opportunity, and hopefully will deliver for this team and overperform expectations. But cannot say enough about how sick I am of the Ketel Marte trade rumors. And I really do hope that maybe we can start to see those once again go to sleep once and for all. We do have to do as we promised and pick a winner of the Die Hard Holiday Giveaway. We've been trying to spread some cheer. We have some fun gift packages from our partners around here, and we have been picking a winner. Today, I get to select a winner. Damon, I think we have a wheel ready to go. I think we're ready to pick a name. Let's hit that wheel, and let's see who our winner is for today's Die Hard Holiday Giveaway. And the wheel is coming to a stop. And who are we landing on here? Vega Rob. Vega Rob? That's got to be how that's pronounced. I'm terrible at pronouncing things like this, but Vega Rob, that is who we have selected. Of course, if that is you, make sure to contact one Leah Merrill via DMs, I think through our Discord is what we're doing. Congratulations to you very much. And again, we will be continuing to pick Die Hard winners throughout this week in an effort to spread some more cheer around here. So we appreciate you guys being here so much. Thank you guys for your time. We will be back tomorrow with another 12 p.m. show. And on that show, we are going to feature one Jesse Friedman from Snakes Territory. And we are going to talk all about these Alex Bregman rumors that are suddenly popping up. Does Bregman to the Diamondbacks, in fact, mean that a Ketel Marte trade has to happen? I don't know where they're going to get the money for Bregman, but we're going to talk about it with Jesse on tomorrow's show. So make sure to join us at 12 p.m. for that. Until then, you can follow us on Twitter. I am at Cap_Caveman with a K. Damon is at Damon Dog with a DAWG at the end, and we are all Damon's dogs. Bark, bark. Our show is at PHNX_Dbacks, but as always, all roads lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter Instagram, and Facebook. We thank you guys so much for stopping by. Make sure to hit that like button on your way out the door. We will see you back here tomorrow. Until then, behave yourselves. Karen, Groundhog Mama, maybe even Katie too, behave yourselves. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when we can stop talking about Ketel rumors.
We all silly like the mayor.